Welcome to round 6 of the RCI Porsche Cup Season 5, coming to you from the iconic Kyalami Grand Prix circuit in a very damp South Africa. This historic track combines sweeping corners, tight hairpins and significant elevation changes, creating a thrilling challenge for the drivers. From the tricky braking zone at sunset to the high-speed dash through mineshaft, Kyalami is a circuit that rewards precision and bravery. Last week, Martin Lawrence capped off a dominant season, clinching the championship with a race to spare. However, the fight for the remaining podium spots is far from over. Rafael Huel and Christian Lindgren are locked in a battle for second place, while Miguel Nito and Marco Badowski are separated by just 1 point, ensuring a thrilling finale to this fiercely contested championship. Get ready for an electrifying race as the drivers take on the twists and turns of Kyalami in the season's last stand. I'm John Dalton, your lead commentator for tonight's action. Alongside me, the wonderful Matthew Malcolm, and ensuring every angle is covered, we have Jesse Lee bringing you the pictures, and of course not forgetting all of our live stewards for tonight's race, casting our eyes over all of the action. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, hello to everybody sitting at home watching on YouTube tonight. But again, being on a track like this, John, it's one of these tracks that just gives a lot of iconic moments, especially with the real life racing and especially here on RCI. I mean, we've had great moments in the RCI 6-hour series, which we'll be going into Monza with the IMB on this Saturday and the esports in the week after. But with this track, it's definitely one where, as you said, it requires a lot of bravery, but also a lot of technical skills around it, especially with some of the major corners around here, John.
Yeah, it's a very tricky circuit to master, Kyalami. It's one of those that it looks very easy on the face of it. You look at the circuit map and, you know, it's very simple looking at it. But actually getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, it is rather tricky. Of course, you've got typical corners, Sunset being one of them that I mentioned earlier. We've got Cheetah, of course, where Sebastian is coming through right now towards the last corner of Ingwe, turn 16. Again, this is a crucial corner to get a good run out of, and lots of opposite lock for Sebastian Brunier as he comes across the line to set his inaugural lap time. It's good enough for P10 so far. It's a 151.057. Jordan Davey, though, at the top, 148.9 is your current benchmark. Of course, track conditions are wet. The rain is here to stay for the remainder of the session, so drivers are ready to lock in and get grinding out. Just under 10 minutes to go. But again, it is a technical circuit. Like you said, Matt, of course, the S's, turns 8 and 9. It's a very kind of rhythmic, flowy circuit, and you get one corner wrong and it really upsets the balance and the rhythm as you parade around this lap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with even just one small upset can cost you on the likes of 2 to 3 tenths, especially the likes of this car not having the safety grasp of any sort of traction control that this car provides. But it is very stable on the likes when it comes to on the braking points there. You just gotta have to watch. I mean, we've seen all season here that the cars can be handled, but it's just a matter of just watching your rear brakes not locking up and causing you to start spinning. Because I mean, I've done a few laps around here with this car just to give this bit of insight as to what the car's like, and if you're not setting it up correctly, the rear brakes that come down to turn 1 can just throw you off when it comes to the full-on lock-in. So a lot of these drivers here is going to have to be very careful when it comes to the major braking points, especially when we head off to green lights at the lights of turn 1. As you can see, Leffy in the 199 hitting the provisional pole of a 148.767. So while we were on the practice sessions, I did see some people drive a little bit faster than this, so it'd be exciting to see what was coming down with the 8 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, we did have a very different kind of top of the table, shall we say, during the practice session. But Johan Leffe currently quickest as he slides through sunset there. No sun to be setting at the moment, although weather conditions are very mixed for this series. So this is going to be a very similar vibe to what we saw at Imola. And if you cast your mind back, that provided for some fantastic racing and lots of drivers not really gelling with these wet conditions. Of course, the majority of drivers may be practicing in those dry, ideal conditions. As soon as the heavens open, it becomes very tricky to then start changing your braking points. As Matt, you alluded to earlier, of course, the ABS in this car can be very forgiving. However, no traction control in the Cup car in ACC. So we'll expect to see lots of slides tonight through various corners. And Martin Lawrence for the Connection Loss Racing, your current reigning champion, of course. We saw him briefly just there. Jordan Daly has had some kind of moment. Back to the pits we go. That's Mike Redford just ahead as they come through Mineshaft. Flat out left-hander, usually in the dry. Switches it back for the Crocodiles, turn 13. Gets it stood up nicely on the brakes. A little bit wide, maybe missed the apex ever so slightly, and decided just to bin the lap off and back to the pits, Matt, probably for a fresh set of wet tyres, taking out some of that fuel load, just over 7 minutes on the clock. So still plenty of time for Daly to get at least, I would say, 2 laps into this session.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he was actually up on his time. I didn't got a grasp of it, but I didn't catch how much of a time difference he was able to gain on it. But you saw like the likes of his line, as Jesse just said to me, it's about 3 tenths there. So with the way that Daly usually has been driving, he likes to cut right in to where the curb is and try and go as wide as he can to maximize on the exit. But you saw from there, he was completely offline from his usual lines there. So it's interesting to see what sort of lines most drivers go by, whether you try and force the car on the curbs and try and manage around it, or just stay safe and clear from the curbs themselves. Because again, these things like to throw you off towards the sides there. I mean, we're seeing a couple of yellow flags here and there, and with times coming in, I mean, with the top 5 sitting within just over half a second, there's still plenty of time to gain with these cars as we go around towards the 6-minute mark. But again, it really depends on how well they manage with, especially how much wetter this track is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely wetter indeed as we watch Raphael Huel in the suspicious Cats car, maybe a soggy Cats livery this time out here at Kyalami, but looking much more confident than last time out at Imola. If you remember, qualified, I think it was P20, somewhere in the mid-pack at Imola in the wet, and looking very good indeed as he begins to run to the line. The number 21 comes across the line. Good improvement up into the front row of the grid with a 1:48.857. Big armful of opposite lock there from Johan Leffe in the number 199 as he comes through Cheetah. Looking very good so far through the first couple of sectors of this lap, beginning his run to the line. Much cleaner exit last time out than Raphael Huel. To the top he shall go. It's an improvement once again, a 1:48.600, which kind of suggests to me either these wet tyres are more in their window now than they were. Maybe the track's a bit kind of wetter, they can work a bit better, not overheat as much, or there is a significant kind of drier portion of the racing line, which is enabling guys to go a bit faster. And Miguel Nito, lots of grass being used as he comes through turn 15 of Cheetah towards turn 16. A bit of traffic ahead, not gonna impede him on this lap, although last corner of Ingwe not quite good, and Miguel Nito bleeds time as he heads towards the line, and it's an improvement, but not enough to go higher. But it is, interestingly, the same time as Jordan Daly, and we've seen it a few times this season, Matt, drivers running the exact same time. And to me, in the booth, that's an absolute mind boggle. You know, how you can throw 2 completely different drivers, Jordan Daly in, of course, Great Britain, Miguel Nito down in Portugal, 2 different setups, 2 different cars, a few different tweaks between them, and they still managed to run the exact same time over a lap. It's just crazy.
I mean, it is, yeah. It's absolutely crazy how we've not seen this. This is not the first time I've seen this season, but there's been multiple times through the season, as you just said. But a lot of the times, it's just these minor differences. Like, you might get a half a tenth on turn 4, but the other one might get an 6 thousandths of a second elsewhere, which could really benefit for all these different drivers here. So it's very, when it comes down to looking at the broad spectrum, of course, exact same time, but when you see the finer details of how each driver goes about, you can see each of their strengths and weaknesses all from that. As we look into the likes of Ted Edwards in P16 for Race Ventura, he's currently down in his time, but a lot of people are the same as well. So this would be nice to get a fresh set of boots and get everybody out on some fresh tires there, as a lot of these drivers here, especially Peter Varga, one of the few exceptions here, up on his time at the very minute here. It's just enough to edge out a little bit of extra time. Maybe he might be able to get a place or 2 across the line. It just does not be able to match it. But again, he matches that with Roskam for the 96 Porsche. So we're seeing more and more people matching their times through up and down the grid. As we go look into Hauser here as well, as Hubert goes round towards the final corner. Currently the only car on the track that is gaining time at the minute. Is it going to be enough? There's a big slide there coming along the exit there. It's going to bleed a lot of that time. He certainly gained a bit more time there, but it's just not enough to get through towards the likes of Racer.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? Down the kind of back end, the mid pack of the field, gaps are a lot larger than what we typically see at the top. So, you know, a gain that's slightly marginal, not always good enough to gain some positions. And Les Stevenson in the number 46 is up on his time, but again, not enough to improve position. Still got 3/10 before he hits the back of Nicholas Nordquist, and then a very minor gap between Nordquist, Brunier, and Rieher. So again, that's going to be 3 positions gained in 4/10 of a second or so, and Les Stevenson will continue on for another lap. Miguel Nito exercising track limits all over the curbs as he comes through the S's, and that's hemorrhaged the run up the hill towards Learcott turn 10, which again, it's another crucial corner to get a good run out of the S's, turns 8 and 9. It's an uphill section, very momentum based, as they stand on the brakes at the highest point of the circuit before cascading down towards Mine Shaft. And Miguel Nito down on this lap, but still enough time on the clock to go for another one. So I'm sure he'll stick this one out. Martin Lawrence last week. Sorry, just alluding to no lap from Martin Lawrence yet. Jesse mentioned it earlier, alluding in an interview last week. He's actually doing a last to first challenge, possibly today, and you saw him there coming out of the crocodiles. Deliberately almost looked like he invalidated the lap, so of course he'll cross the line, no time to set again, and go for one more lap. So Martin Lawrence maybe starting from the back of the grid. Andreas Carlson rally crossing through Mine Shaft, and I think he was very kind of brave, Matt, to keep the foot pinned as they came through Mine Shaft. Even in the cup cars in the dry, it's a bit sketchy to try and go flat out. You've got the bump on the inside. Of course, the curb on the inside is going to be wet. That's going to be very slippy. So trying to do this corner flat out is very, very brave. And I think we just saw what happens when it goes all wrong. Andreas Carlson, of course, off the road and invalid. And he's back to the pit lane. Will take no further part in the session.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with making the mistake of Carlson here, it is very easy to do that. As you see, Ross Cam is gaining on this time, but he's a little bit squirrely in the end, so he's whether or not he can make it the extra time, and he gets himself up to P14. That was probably just an additional 10.5 to 2 tenths more, but you saw how big the difference is. But a lot of the drivers here are sitting in the pit lane at the minute. And currently, right now, you have the pole sitter of Leffy in the 199, doing my number proud at sitting at pole position, but they're still Heel, they're still Daly, and they're still Neto. They're still within 3/10, but they're currently on the pit lane, so they might not be able to pull onto it. But Heel, the person in P2, is super down on his time. He's about over a second on it, so it's likely we're going to see Leffy in the 199s be our pole sitter for today, as everybody else is currently sitting in on the pit lane at the minute. But just to go back onto the pit lane, Emo Plate, a late joiner here, and he's currently in P28. He's just missing out on quali, but it'll be interesting to see how well he can pull off the race. But as we see, Dominicus in the really slow racing team here, just using the same livery as Kevin, because he has yet to get his own one. But we'll see whether he can pull off a really nice livery off for next season. Currently sitting in P13, 1.4, but unfortunately he doesn't look like he's able to gain much more time coming up towards the last corner there, John.
Yeah, really slow with some budget cuts maybe this season. Dominicus abandons into the pit lane, practicing stopping on the marks. Of course, we do have a mandatory pit stop here tonight for the drivers. We'll touch on that later on, but it is a 20-minute pit window, so it's quite small in comparison to what we usually see for pit windows. Johan Leffe, your pole sitter for today. Fastest sector in 1 and 3. Middle sector goes to Miguel Nito, but only by a very small margin indeed. Rafael Kuhl will start alongside on the front row of the grid. Jordan Daly and Miguel Nito share the second row. Christian Lindgren and Badowski, again, Lindgren and Badowski battling for the overall championship honours from what is left. Carlos Galati-Yerd, followed by Miguel Martins, Olivier Curtin and Andy Boardman, who we saw on pole in practice. He will start in P10. Andreas Carlson, very brave down Mine Shaft alongside Ted Ers. Dominicus, Roskam, Boss, Redford, Edwards, Varga, Lundqvist and Rieher round out the top 20. And then we've got Sebastian Brunier, Nicholas Nordquist, Les Stevenson, Ibiza Racer and Hubert Hauser. all setting valid times. Stephen Hughes yet to set a time in that session. No valid laps on his board either, so I think just took it easy in this one. Martin Lawrence alluded to last week, a last to first challenge with the championship being wrapped up for him, just having a little bit of fun today. And Emo Plata managing to make the qualifying session on that one. Very last minute indeed, but he will start from the back of the grid alongside Martin Lawrence. And of course, we'll bring you the championship results so you can see how everything is standing coming into the final round. But Martin Lawrence essentially wrapping up the championship with one race to go. Just behind him, Raphael Huel, 228 points. If it wasn't for Imola and a few results throughout the season, what could have been heading into Kyalami? Christian Lindgren, though, nipping at the heels of Raphael Huel. Miguel Nito not too far off. Badowski a point behind him. Miguel Martins on 144. Andy Boardman on 139. Late joiner Emo Plata on 137. Jordan Daly on 131. And today's pole sitter Johan Leffe on 126. Once again, just kind of here for the fun of it. A lot of the drivers here tonight as the championship gaps have, of course, expanded. Ted Ayres on 125. Gregor Forst on a nice round 100. Yeah, Manzo will be leapt by Theobald Roskam. Manzo not in tonight's grid at all. And maybe even Sebastian Brunier could make up a position there as well. Tom Shipston, Juraj Svenček, Mike Redford, Carlos Calatayud, and Les Stevenson round out your top 20. And some of the points gaps there looking very close indeed. So it's all for honours pretty much here tonight. Ted Edwards on 58. Kevin Boss on 53, Olivier Curtin 46, a point behind Peter Varga, a point behind him. Reese Wilkinson, unfortunately, not on the grid tonight. We then got a battle of the Swedes, Matthias Byron, Andreas Carlson and Nicholas Nordqvist, all within stone's throw of each other on points there. Grim Lilith on 28 and Hubert Hauser on 24 rounds out your top 30, and we've still got more pages to go. Peter Lundqvist ahead of Ross Kusik, tied with Ollie Mulder. Peter Dominicus 2 points behind those guys. Should see some points improving, jumping him up the order. Alphonse Lundqvist on 14, Steve Hughes on 12, starting from the back of the grid today. Victor Nordqvist and Ibiza Racer tied on 10 points apiece. James Purchase on 9 points and Philip Reha on 3 points. And into what would be the final page of active scorers. Thomas Novak on 2, Callum Kerrigan on 1, Nicole Fox and Martin Foster yet to score in their endeavours. And everyone else has signed out of the championship and will take no further part in scoring. And Matt, what an absolute fantastic list of names that we had here for the Porsche Cup. It was 53 potential drivers, I think I counted on the website, with 46 remaining in the championship. That's not too many sign-outs and a lower rate of attrition to what we normally see, and 28 drivers making the server tonight as well. So, One Make Racing always provides fantastic grids, fantastic sign-ups, and, it's a great place to really sink your teeth into ACC.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with a car like this, it's just something that's completely different to what most cars on the grid sits at. I mean, yes, well, there's a lot of drivers that go about driving in, say, GT3s with zero TC or anything like that. But in a car like this, where you've got a little bit more limited aerodynamics, a little bit no TC or anything like that, it just gives a sense of fun. It's almost like driving a normal road car without traction control, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I do quite like spec series like this, and I think a lot of people do love it as well, especially with the sort of tracks that this season has also provided as well, John.
Yeah, it's been a real good calendar picked out by Tim Ireland. Of course, we began at Paul Ricard. Round 2 took us to Hungaroring. Round 3 was a very warm Barcelona before a slightly soggy Imola. We took to the mountain for round 5 last week. And for the final round here tonight, we're of course at Kyalami as drivers begin to get underway here. Of course, you can see rain has carried over from the qualifying session. Rain is here getting heavier for the next 10 to 30 minutes. Track status is officially wet and air temperature 21 and 25 degrees down on the track with very small wind speed, normally meaning that the cloud cover will not shift as fast as drivers are probably hoping. Hubert Hauser there, a little bit slow to get underway, but does do so onto his formation lap. And as we alluded to earlier in the broadcast, no tyre warmers here on the 992 Cup cars. So lots of crucial heat being put into the Pirellis on this opening formation lap, and relatively easy to do so on the wet tyre. Of course, it's a much softer compound, tends to heat up a lot faster than its slick counterpart, so very crucial indeed. Spectators staying dry inside, which is exactly where myself and Matthew Malcolm are. So it's the best place to be in a scenario like this. But a quick rundown of the RCI calendar. This Wednesday, we head iRacing with the NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen. Now we're heading to Charlotte for the Charlotte 150. Get ready for a high-octane one-off showdown at the iconic Charlotte Motor Speedway, featuring the cutting-edge next-gen NASCAR Cup Series cars on, of course, iRacing. This special event promises intense racing action, challenging drivers to master the fixed setup and famed oval for a whopping 100 laps. Drivers must own their chosen next-gen Cup cars. Other cars only need to be installed, not purchased. But the track is included in the iRacing base subscription. So if you want to get involved in some iRacing, Wednesday is the day for you. And a double header, as Matt alluded to earlier on in the broadcast, this Saturday as the IMB 6-hour Community Series heads to round 4 at the Temple of Speed, also known as Monza. Sky Sim Sport with a commanding lead in Pro over WOR X JSM Motorsport and nearly on pace in third. Kaiju Racing being chased by Kraken Engineering in silver, with the Wheelie Slow Racing team 19 points behind, so still all to play for there. And of course, in the evening, we head to the final round of Night Owl Winter Break 3. It's been a short 3-round championship, taking us to, I can't remember where round 1 was, actually. Round 2.
Round 1 was Spa.
Round 1 at Spa, round 2 at Snetterton, and we round off at Indianapolis for the final round. Tyler, Jason Lavallee leading Jordan Daly and Marco Badowski as the championship reaches its conclusion. You can, of course, sign up and pre-qualify if needed for any of those events at any time by visiting racerci.com. And remember to keep your eye down in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. That's where you'll catch all of our partners that help us run RCI in various guises along the way. We'll tell you all about them at the end of the broadcast, but they are down there for your enjoying. All links down below in the description. But on to tonight's action as cars begin to head towards the green flag. Johan Leffe on the left of the screen, Raphael Huell on the right, Jordan Daly, Miguel Nito in the background, Lindgren and Badowski a row behind them, and it's a long hold at Kyalami all the way under the gantry before the lights go green, and Raphael Huell already with a great start, toe-to-toe with Leffe down into turn 2, which is technically turn 1, as we're 2 wide in the background, 3 wide in places, and this is the pinch point between 3 and 4, the Juski sweep. This is where it normally kicks off, if it does anywhere, as the drivers head towards barbecue. Huell looking to the outside, no grip around there. Daly looks to the inside of Huell, gets a better run towards Sunset, but he's going to have to go the long way around as they get towards Sunset, as the car squirrely in the background, possibly one of the Sim brothers entry. Jordan Daly towards the outside of Huell. That's the much wetter side of the circuit. Drivers already sliding on the inside as they head down towards clubhouse of turn 7. Everybody kind of filtering out into kind of single file in the background. We've still got some cars braving the old double file, seeing if they can make up any positions, and the amount of spray coming off the back of these cup cars, and alluded to in qualifying, the run through the S's is crucial, and Jordan Daly with a bad run that allows Miguel Nito to start sniffing at the quarter panel, but Daly somehow inches out as they head towards the top of the hill at turn 10 of Learcock. We've got a couple of yellow flags out, I think Les Stevenson being one of them. Let's get a race replay, see what's happened here. This is down into clubhouse. Les Stevenson on the inside in the camo car, touching with Martin Lawrence, and then it all unfolded in the background. That's Philip Reher. I think Emo Plata getting involved there as well, and one of the Lundqvist, the 999, I think that's Peter Lundqvist, involved in the antics as well. Stuart's going to have to cast their eye over that one. But as we come towards turn 15 of Cheetah, drivers beginning to hit the final corner of turn 16 of Ingwe, it's a relatively, touch wood, Matthew Malcolm, a relatively clean lap so far.
I wouldn't put a jinx. I wouldn't put a jinx on it just yet. As Jesse pits us to another replay, as we can see, of Ted Edwards and Mike Rifford is going side by side. A little bit of door banging onto that part there, going towards. Oh, looks like speed. Ted's just tapped the front rear of one of the cars, but It seems to be relatively clean, but I wouldn't touch wood on it. But again, Jesse puts us into another replay here with Mike Redford and Sebastian Brunier side by side going on towards Cheetah, and it looks like a tap onto the likes of Redford's car. So it seems like Redford's car's doors have been getting a bit of a beating as we see another yellow flag at the back there for the 84, and it looks like the 191 as well. So I wonder if we'll get to see a replay of that, if Jesse will be kindly to show us that.
He's queuing something up in the background, but Ted Ayres, one of the cars, caught up in that one. Let's have a look at it all unfolding at Barbecue. There's a car stationary on the exit. Olivier Curtin getting caught up. One of the Sim Brothers cars, and cars scattering as they come through Barbecue, finding Ted Ayres parked on the inside and looping it in front of Les Stevenson. That was a very close move indeed from Ted Ayres, trying to get the car back around the right way. He will get back underway and rejoin the race in the number 84, although considerable time loss happening there for the number 84. And back to live pictures, Christian Lindgren nipping at the heels of Miguel Nito. Behind him, he does have Marco Badowski, of course, Lindgren and Badowski in the championship standings. Very close indeed. Lindgren 218 points, Nito 197, and Badowski on 196. So we're pretty much looking, if Huell stays where he is, he should in theory lock in the second place of the championship, but then it all becomes a bit of a wild card on who takes the bottom step of that podium. It could be Lindgren, it could be Nito, but it also could be Badowski as we catch a race replay from Sebastian Brunier. This is down into Clubhouse, possibly on the opening lap, I would say, and there's a car up the inside. Apparently happened just a minute ago. Number 34 involved in that one as well. A bit of a Sim Brothers sandwich on the nearly on pace car there. Sebastian getting it from all angles.
Yeah, you know that how he's put touch with John. He didn't seem to tap it hard enough. As Sebastian Brunier slides over to the side and looks to be taking out one of the other Sim Brother cars there. I'm not couldn't catch the number off that one, but that was a little bit of a weird slide from Sebastian Brunier on the nearly on pace. Looks to be the 137 of the Sim Brothers car. So, we'll have another look here, see what's happened here. So it looks like Sebastian Brunier was on that part there. Oh, it looked like he clipped the sand just a little bit there, just angering the wheel slip onto that part, John.
Yeah, I think the painted surfaces in ACC, anybody that's driven this game knows that anything painted becomes mega slippy in, any circuit, it seems, and especially here at Kyalami in the 992 Cup car. Of course, no traction control. Sebastian probably foot flat to the floor trying to get the car off the corner. Maybe caught the painted surface, or like you say, Matt, caught the sand, the gravel that is briefly on the outside of that turn, forcing him to drive his left across the chasing field and into the pit wall. Andy Boardman and possibly Carlos Calatayud getting involved down into turn 2. It's very pinchy indeed. Boardman elbows out onto Carlos Calatayud as they head through the Juski sweep side by side. It looks like Boardman has had more trouble somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's the
you can see his bonnet. You can see his bonnet out. So we'll see.
Yeah,
if we get a chance to
front end
replay
damage.
That.
This is coming into Barbecue, I believe. Boardman
Yes,
on the inside into the door of Carlos. Oh, and that's what kicked everything off that we saw earlier on. It was in fact Boardman and Calatayud into each other that slowed up the rest of the field, and some cars blindsided approaching Barbecue, throwing the car in. There's a big A-pillar in the way. Of course, left-hand drive car, the entry to Barbecue, slightly blinded, pitch the car in. All of a sudden, you've got about 5 or 6 Cup cars in your field of view, just like we're seeing here on board with one of the drivers involved. Olivier Curtin is actually a car ahead. I'm not sure who that was. Miguel Martins, that was the point of view of, and just a faceful, Matt, of 992.
Yeah, definitely. It was a big slide there for likes of Ted Edwards as they go towards side by side towards Clubhouse. But Miguel Martins just eaching out ahead with the likes of Ted Edwards. So a little bit of a mistake there, but again, you shouldn't have jinxed it there, John. Shouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I did touch wood. I thought the wood would be enough.
You didn't
to
hit
keep
it hard enough.
Apparently not, as it all kicked off a lap or so later, and Martin Lawrence elbows out Piotr Dominicus, maybe Kevin Boss donating to the cause of Martin Lawrence to trade some paint off the wheelie slow car as the livery thief continues his crusade through the pack. In number 12, oh, that's Kevin Boss.
That's
Kevin Boss off to the left-hand side, quite hard into the Armco, coming through Mineshaft, and it's exactly what we spoke about earlier on in the broadcast. Mineshaft in the wet, very, very hard corner, and taking no prisoners as Kevin Boss comes around. Let's have a look from the helicam. So Kevin Boss, the guy ahead, the helicam eventually catches up. Coming down the hill, of course, it's a bit like a river in the wet as water tends to flow down the way, pitches it in, big amount of understeer, big kind of touch on the painted surface, and off to driver's left he goes. And that is the punishment of not being close enough to the inside as he rejoins the lack of TC, catching Kevin Boss out nearly across the path of Miguel Martins as he attempts to get back underway. And Porsche are probably thanking us that it's the last race of the season, as the spare parts bin will be raided, no doubt, as these cars get ready for another season ahead of them at some point within the realm of ACC.
Yeah, I've gone and checked the shed, by the way, John. There's absolutely nothing left for spare parts. So with the guys trying to repair all the cars, that's basically all they can afford for this one here. So definitely, I don't think they can do another race again like this one, John. But again, there's still plenty of action, still plenty of going on, and it's only been 9 minutes. So
yeah,
nine.
Yeah, sorry, 9 minutes, and it feels like we've been going for about 20 so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. As we see him going to the likes of Peter Varga, he's trying to keep it nice and clean onto there. Going onto that part of the curb and towards the uphill part can catch you off, because well, I was doing some practice laps just to get a feel of the inside of this, and just anywhere you go that has any sort of line, any sort of curves, it's just full on death unless you want to completely send it for the maximum times. But if you want to keep it safe, if you want to keep it clean and consistent, then you're just gonna have to stay off those lines, I'm afraid. But at least when it comes down to the downhill part, this part here, you can go flat out if the car will allow it, because like what you have to do for it is you have to aim for the inside curb, and that seems to give you enough slip and able to take full control over towards the likes of the cocktails section.
Yeah, it's quite a brave corner in the even in the GT4s, of course, with less speed and reduced downforce. It's still a mineshaft. It's a very tricky corner indeed to get right, let alone in something like the Cup car when you throw even more horsepower at it, even less downforce maybe, and then throw in wet weather as well, as Peter Varga having to dart out of the spray of Emo Plata ahead just to try and spot his braking point. This is a very tricky place to be in. You ideally want to be the lead car, of course. You get a much clearer view. You can spot your apexes, your braking points a lot clearer. And Peter Varga is almost having to drive out the side of his window. There you see they're darting out to the right again, maybe trying to pick up some of the standing water to cool down these Pirelli tyres. Again, drivers might be sliding the car a bit too much in these early stages. Rain was, of course, getting harder for the next 10 minutes and the next 30, I believe the widget said at the start of the race. However, rain is decreasing in 30, so it should get a little bit easier towards the end of the race. Progress on Martin Lawrence's last to first. Here's another overtake, another victim he's claimed. It's Theobald Roskam down into Clubhouse. This is enough to promote him up into P8 as Roskam goes down to P9, side by side into the S's, and I think Roskam was maybe delaying the inevitable by that point. Lawrence through up into P8, and just a reminder, Lawrence starting from the back of the grid, P27. I believe he did have a late joiner that kind of didn't force him all the way to the back, but the rear of the grid nonetheless, as Kevin Boss limps around a very damaged 992 coming up to Learcop. This is Ted Edwards, I believe, behind him in the number 8 race Ventura. Ted getting very sideways coming out at the top of the hill. Kevin Boss having a bit of a retaliation as well, maybe competing for best drift and almost stopping the car. Not sure what happened there, but certainly getting back underway. I'm wondering, Matt, with the slide, did he try and catch the wheel, smash the ignition button? And I know in the 992 GT3, you have to stop the car to be able to fire it again. And yes, that's exactly what it looked like for Kevin Boss. It looked like he hit the ignition, caught it, and then thought, it won't restart. had to stop to get it back underway again.
Well, it's kind of like a it's reminded me of a song. We saw Ted do it. It said, "Anything I can do better than you," sort of thing. So it both did a really good slide. They both caught it really well. It's just a shame that obviously Kevin Boss seemed to might hit the ignition as Dominicus is on the back of Mike Redford there. Just trying to find. It seems like Dominicus has actually gained a lot of like skill and talent in the last few races. Like I'm actually seeing him. He's actually seems to be improving quite impressively, like very quickly. I want to say, John.
Yeah, Redford, of course, a bit of a veteran, would I say, with RCI. Certainly will say I'll agree with that point. Definitely getting better indeed as Dominicus comes up behind him during Leocock turn 10. This could be a fight that we're about to see unfolding in front of us. Mike Redford, his Twitch handle there across the back of his rear wing. So if you do want to check him out, be sure to do so. Over the grass, Mike Redford goes, manages to hold on to it and stand on the anchors for the Crocodiles and still keep the place from Dominicus. That's the most crucial thing. Some drivers hit the grass and they get a bit panicky and forget what's actually happening around them. But Mike Redford doing well there to hold on to that one in the number 95. And just in the background there, you see a pair of headlights. That's Miguel Martins, again on a bit of a comeback after getting involved in the big one, should we say, at Barbecue. 5 or 6 cars involved in that one. But the DCC Motorsport driver back on his way up the grid, and expect to see Miguel Martins latch onto the back of that fight just ahead. And just behind him, of course, Ted Edwards, another driver we know quite fast in his own right. So could see a bit of a four-way fight beginning to emerge here in the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes or so. About 6 minutes away from the pit window, Matt, and I'm expecting lots of drivers today to be on a heavier fuel load to kind of get themselves all the way to the end of that pit window and then just kind of see where they stand in terms of weather, because of course the weather will dictate what tyres they decide to take, and the later you can leave that, the better. Of course, rain is easing in the next 10 and the next 30, so expect to see a very congested pit lane towards the end of that pit window.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen on plenty of races where a lot of the drivers try and go for low fuel and try and hope the weather holds, or some will go very long with it. But again, the weather can giveth, weather can taketh when it comes to trying to plan out your strategy. And normally in situations like this, it's always best just to play the long game. As we see, Les Stephenson on the track map is currently sideways and having to spin the car around. He's currently backwards, but he has to bring that car around. He's building himself into the gravel trap. But can we get a look off that roof, Jesse, once we've watched the replay? So we get a chance to see what's happening with Les. It seems to be one of the Simbrava cars here. So as we come up towards the start of the S section here, it seems like Les is just completely losing it on his own and just very luckily kept our car away. Because it's just so easy just to lose it there without the TC and the braking zones not playing out, especially if you haven't got the brake biases or anything like that. Like, you know, anything like that sort of secured down. But as we come out of the replay, Jesse, can you please show off the roof? Because I want to prove a point, or somebody likes to prove a point. The Rocker Porker is... Because you said there wasn't anything like that on this car, John. But is there?
Yeah, the early days we thought there was no Les face. It's quite a consistent thing, should we say, with Les Stephenson, the Rocker Poker, or in this case the Rocker Porker. The very aptly themed renamed nickname for Les there. Side by side through the sweep, Peter Varga and Kevin Boss. This is getting very close indeed. But Joe Dorber, I think, was the man that asked the question of where is Les's face? And it has taken us the majority of the season to find it, but it was, of course, plastered across the roof. And Joe Dorber still in chat. Thank you very much, Joe, for remaining here. That one was all for you. But yeah, we did find Les's face in the end. Contact being registered between the two. It looked like Boss with a little hip and shoulder into turn 2, which is of course actually turn 1 technically, but we won't get into the technicalities of this circuit. Yellow flag out. Back to the pit lane. It's a big spin from Peter Varga through the S's. A little bit too eager on the throttle, I would say, Matt, and a very awkward place. Even though it's on the outside of the S's, it's still quite an awkward one to join back in. Les Stephenson will probably take a position as they head up towards the Learcop. And this is the kind of, I want to say the magic almost, Matt, of drivers making mistakes. We see battles that we don't tend to see quite a lot of. I mean, Les Stevenson typically the higher end of the field, Peter Varga normally in the mid-pack. We don't normally see these two come together at all, and Sebastian Brunier just ahead as well. So we get this weird dynamic where drivers that don't tend to fight each other end up fighting each other, and it proves to be quite entertaining for us up here in the box.
Oh, definitely. Especially with whenever you see anybody you're not normally paired with when it comes to racing side by side. Because again, some of these guys who are full-on veterans never really get to experience driving with like rookies or people with at a lower skill level than say down the grid. But yeah, it's always great to see how people can go up against somebody who's like considerably faster or considerably slower. So with the side by side action has been, I say it's been pretty good with it when you're checking on the other drivers here. I know there hasn't been some great moments here as Martin Lawrence has already put himself up to P7 there, pushing himself the likes of that wide Porsche there. As soon as we get a chance to replay it here, Lawrence is keeping it clean on the inside line, trying to got with Carlos Galatiud, trying to find a better space on the inside line. Almost contact between the two. That could have easily spun the likes of Lawrence around, like what we've seen a few other cars that have gone loose on the side by side. But Mike Redford and the likes of Miguel Martin still side by side towards the uphill part here. Redford's got the best place here. He's got the inside line, but Miguel Martins is going to try and see about the switch back on the inside line. But Redford is sliding. He's losing it there, which then gives Miguel Martins the full-on opportunity to take the slot. But Redford isn't safe yet because Ted Edwards is right at the back bumper of him. He's going to try and see about poking his nose through maybe the inside of the likes of Crocodiles, but he can't make it just yet. There's a little bit of wheel spin on the exit there. It's not going to be able to be enough to reach him.
Yeah, drivers fighting for traction, and we did say about 5 to 8 minutes ago when we saw Redford and Dominicus on our screens, Martins and Edwards lurking in the background, and that has come true. Although Dominicus managed to break away from Redford, Martins is also through, and now Ted Edwards will size up the move down into turn 2. Both drivers side by side through turn 1 of the kink, and the circuit opens up very wide indeed. It's an interesting corner to try and make a move stick, but textbook move. Ted Edwards to the inside, Mike Redford to the outside, tries to do the old up and under towards the sweep, but the traction in these cars in these conditions with no TC, very hard to get the power down. And Ted Edwards now up into P12. Redford down into 13 with a big wiggle through barbecue, managed to catch it just as the pit window opened. Just 20 minutes on the pit window for drivers to get down the lane. And let's have a look as he hops over the curb on the inside, jumps on the power, big wiggle, catches it and snaps him the other way towards the grass, and managing to get it back under control once again. Good driving there from Mike Redford in what is a very tricky condition at the moment. As we catch a race replay, Steve Hughes in the 777 and Peter Lundqvist very out of control as they head towards Learcop. Looked like Lundqvist trying to get it checked up on the inside line and practically stopped on the apex as Hughes turned in, and Lundqvist is backwards. This looks like, whoa, big impact there.
So
Hubert Hauser,
that's
that's coming through Sunset towards Clubhouse, and Hauser hard in the wall as well. Yellow flag out down at Clubhouse as the majority of the drivers heading down towards turn 2. But driver disconnected there. Let's catch a race replay from Hauser, turning it in to Sunset. Ignore the rear view mirror. This always catches us off. Bit of a wiggle. Bit more of a wiggle. Another wiggle and a big wiggle. And not able to get it under control. And there was, unfortunately, Peter Lundqvist in the way of that one as well. Squeeze between Lundqvist's car and the wall. Managing to loop it back round and get back underway. Hubert Hauser has done so. Jordan Daly, though, first of the drivers to take towards the pit lane. He's cleared his mandatory stop very early indeed. He's back out on track in P10, and we did allude to it earlier. Mandatory stop here tonight. 20 minutes on the clock where drivers must come down the pit lane to add at least 1 litre of fuel. Of course, the 1 litre may seem very minor in the grand scheme of things, but it does throw that strategy element into the mix as well. So lots of drivers electing to go for the short stop where we drop 1 litre in and we get back underway again. some of the drivers pitting on this side of the pit window, Matt, probably hoping the rain will stay towards the end. Looking at the forecast, it's not going to dry out anytime soon, as Ted Urs gives a bit of a bump through the S's into the back of Hauser, and that's another bumper on bumper Porsche 992 that needs to be ordered from the factory for yet another team. But of course, no tyres probably taken here today. Wet tyres, a little bit more, let's say, a little bit more longevity in them than the slick. They don't tend to drop off as fast, especially when kept in these ideal kind of wetter conditions. So we should see lots of fast pit stops tonight. 1 litre of fuel being added and drivers back out again. So some guys might be using this, Matt, just to pull themselves out of these kind of battles, these squabbles, these trains that they're in, just to try and get some kind of clear windscreen space, if anything, at the moment.
Yeah, it's all main means to play as a strategy, but I just noticed the top right corner, we're getting light rain in 30 minutes, so the last, say, 10 or so minutes is going to be a period where we're going to have a light rain, where those tires are starting to be heating up, so it all sort of really depends on how well these guys play at it, because you can probably see we've got 16 minutes left of the pit window just now. That'll bring us down to within 20 minutes left of the race. So sometimes it's best just keeping it on the track and seeing what goes on from there, because you never know if the rain's going to stop within the last 20 minutes or so. So it really sort of depends on how they're going to play the strategy for the next, say, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, cast your mind back to Imola. That began to dry out towards the end. If you remember, Carlos Calatayud stayed out on the dry tyres, and another driver tried the same strategy, but I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But of course, it dried up so quick that the wet tyres just nosedived off a cliff, and I think Carlos even struggled to keep the tyre alive until the end and had to make a second trip down pit road, and it would have been a fantastic strategy had the rain lasted a little bit longer, but unfortunately it didn't. And I wonder if we're going to see a repeat here tonight at Kyalami. But nonetheless, more drivers down the lane. Nito now your lead driver, first to make a pit stop so far. Andreas Carlson, Ted Urs, Les Stevenson, Ibiza Racer also down the lane as well. Hubert Hauser into the lane this time by. Majority of the field though staying out and looking towards the pit stop time. Lots of damage being fixed. Andy Boardman pitted lap 2. That was for a 1:16 stop. That's going to be for damage. Ibiza Racer, 1:08. Again, that's probably going to be damage. Lots of drivers into the 30s. So Miguel Nito, 32.4. Jordan Daly, 34.8. So Nito slightly faster down the pit lane so far. And we'll keep you updated as Christian Lindgren now comes down the pit lane as well. Remember, he's in a battle with Miguel Nito, actually, ironically. 218 points to 197. Lindgren leads Nito. And Badowski is just a point behind Nito as well. So lots of action to happen in the top. Of course, Johan Leffe, not really spoken about him too much today. 9 seconds ahead of Raphael Hill. Hill 7.2 seconds ahead of Badowski. And with the pit stops going on, Martin Lawrence snaking his way now up into P4 after starting from the back row of the grid.
Yeah, it's been an absolute, just an absolute charge for Martin Lawrence. A little bit of argy-bargy moments here, left a little bit, but all in all, he's kept it clean, he's kept it consistent, and that's exactly what you need in a track like this, in conditions like this. So, very well played on Martin Lawrence's. I mean, he had nothing to lose for this. He's already been crowned the champion, and it's no doubts from just getting the full winning streak so far. So, whether or not he can complete it to get a full 100% win rate this season is all down within the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that one, Martin Lawrence already a bit of a dominant force to reckon with on Mondays. Just looking back to Raphael Hill's season, I mean, it's not been a bad season for the Suspicious Cats car, the number 21, as they come down the pit lane. Perfect timing, really, on this one. Paul Ricard, second place. Hungaroring, second place. Barcelona managed a third. Imola is where it went downhill. Remember, P20 in qualifying, and P4 by the time they got to the end of the race. Suspicious Cats indeed, as they leave the pit box there. And Bathurst, 25th, only scoring 7 points after a bit of an accident over the mountain, but Huell stayed out nonetheless, but it just wasn't enough to take away, like you say, the perfect sweep almost of Martin Lawrence. First in every round, all the way up to Bathurst, and maybe even tonight as well. Time will tell. Let's see how many more places Martin Lawrence can make up. Rafael Huell comes out just ahead of Miguel Nito. Just behind there in the spray is the Portuguese driver. That's P6, so the timing tower actually lying on the left-hand side. Huell is now the first person on the road that has taken their mandatory pit stop. Peter Dominicus, the car 2 cars behind, he's playing no part in this. He's still got a mandatory pit stop to make, but Jordan Daly separates now Lindgren and Nito. So for championship honours and points, this is going to be a crucial battle to keep your eye on. Of course, Badowski stayed out. He's currently in P2, although very far off the back of Johan Leffe, who is, of course, miles up the road coming through Cheetah on this lap by. And Johan Leffe, again, another driver, Matt, that started off very well, finished P4 in Paul Ricard, looked very competitive, but then went absent from Hungaroring and Barcelona, coming back for Imola, finished P15 and then P2 at Bathurst. So again, what could have been had, you know, Lawrence, Huell and Leffe had a very similar season, this could have been a very electrifying final round.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, doing the 199 crowd, which, to the folks at home that are not aware, this is the number I've always raced in for as long as I remember. So it's nice to see the 199 up as high as this. I mean, as Jesse says, is there a reason in my head? Yeah, I mean, it's more because the 199 is never really that high. It's not moving the mid pack or any sort of thing like that. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see a number that you've raced with sitting at the top of the timing tower.
Yeah, everybody's got that kind of magical race number that they always race under. I mean, I'm pretty flexible on my number. If I'm driving a Porsche 992, you know, say no more. Ferrari 298, got to pick the 298 number, you know.
Just a common nerd.
Exactly. You know, 488 Ferrari, 488 on the door. It's got to be a thing, right? On that one for sure. Johan Leffe threw a Learcop there, bit sideways as he's really trying to push the limits of the number 199. Let's catch a race replay, this time on board. Stands on the brakes, tips the car in. Washes a little bit wide, lots of steering angle, and jumps on the loud pedal. Looked less dramatic on board, much more calm and composed from the point of Johan Leffe. And it looks like we've got a few stewards' decisions coming through on the left-hand side of the screen. Some of them already been cleared. Not too bad, scrolling down the report list, but still quite a few to get through nonetheless. So we'll start from the top. Incident on lap 1, turn 7, involving the 404 and the 46. No further action, minor contact. Incident lap 1, turn 16, involving the 137 and the 668. It's a warning for the 137 for an aggressive overtake, forcing the 668 to cancel their turn-in. Incident after, where the 668 loses control on a wet curb, deemed a racing incident. Incident on lap 2, turn 3, involving the number 30. It's a warning for the number 30 for not holding the brakes when losing the car. Lap 2, turn 3, involving the 30 and the 69. Is a racing 69 and the 84 actually. Racing incident, avoidable contact. We then got incident lap 2, turn 3, involving the 111, the 62 and the 96. Racing incident, unavoidable contact. Incident lap 2, turn 4, involving the 69 and the 30. It was a warning for the 69 for avoidable contact on that one. Incident on lap 2, turn 7, involving the 668, the 137 and the 34. It was a 10 seconds for the number 137 for avoidable contact, moderate time loss. And I think that's exactly what we're about to see right now on your screens, heading down towards Clubhouse. And there's the impact there on Sebastian Brunier, and the after contact as well on that one. We then got incident lap 2, turn 7, again same incident, the 668, the 137 and the 34. It was a 5 seconds for the 668 for not holding the brakes, leading to avoidable contact. We then got an incident on lap 2, turn 9, among the 32 and the 95. Minor contact racing incident as we see Miguel Nito and Rafael Huel toe-to-toe towards the top of the hill into Leocop, the old up and under, the old switcheroo. Miguel Nito attempts, Rafael Huel wiggly on the power. Miguel Nito in answer, equally wiggly, and drivers back into racing, into line of stern as they head through mineshaft. Nito there, a bit cautious through mineshaft. Huel a lot braver, and the gap opens up somewhat, but this battle certainly isn't over yet between these two. We then got an incident lap 3, turn 11, involving the 32 and the 404 racing incident. That's deemed hard racing between those two. An incident lap 9, turn 3, involving the 508 and the 31 racing incident. Lap 10, turn 9, involving the 79 and the 84 racing incident. And finally, you guessed it, lap 10, turn 12, involving the 999 and the 777 racing incident. So no harm, no foul on a lot of those. A few penalties sprinkled out through the field. And if you're new to the world of ACC and wondering how Sebastien Brunier is going to serve that 5 seconds, he'll be held for the additional 5 seconds in his pit stop. Thus, of course, granting track time loss, should we say, overall. Any driver picking up a penalty after the pit window will, of course, have it added on to their time at the end of the race. So they'll get that penalty once the checkered flag has dropped. And, you know, it's been relatively calm, should we say. I'm going to curse it because it's all going to kick off. It's all going to kick off again, Matt. But it's been relatively calm in this mid-phase as the pit stop sequence has been cycling through. 6 minutes on the clock and still quite a few cars to get down the lane yet, Matt.
Oh boy, John, I hope you slapped that wood pretty hard on the desk there. So, because again, 26 minutes, a lot can happen between now and then. So, as we see, the likes of Miguel Neto is trying to catch back up to the likes of Rafael Huel after he lost the place and got a little bit squirrely on the downhill part towards mineshaft. But it looks like he's got a bit of a cleaner run this time, so he's able to stay at the back of them. But he's also got the likes of Jordan Daly and it looks like Christopher Lindgren as well at the back of them. So they're gonna have to watch out as if he wants to try and aim for that P3 position. He's gonna have to deal with the likes of Daly and of the likes of Lindgren behind him as well. So going through the crocodile section here, try hopefully keep it nice and tidy there. A little bit of a bump from Neto, which could upset the car if it was played right, but he's kept it clean from that point. But yeah, so far it's been staying clean, but I still wouldn't hold my cars just yet for an instance, as Daly took a little bit of a scroll at the back, just at the back part there, John.
Yeah, indeed. Daly, of course, creeping in the background there. Christian Lindgren also behind Jordan Daly. So it's crucial for Lindgren, I would say, to either dispatch of Daly as he was about to down into turn 2. Thought better of it as Daly went for the turn in, a bit unsighted, pulling out from the spray. It's very wet on the circuit. TV cams don't really do it justice until you ride on board. And Lindgren kind of looked and then thought better of it as he wasn't close enough to get up the inside of Daly. And that battle will go on for another lap. But it's crucial, as I was going to say, for Lindgren to either work with Daly or dispatch of him in the first move that he tries to put on. Because otherwise they're going to lose time, they're going to hemorrhage time, and they're going to lose the back of the fight ahead, of course, between Huel and Nito. And Lindgren needs to get as many points as he can as Amo Plata nearly dips the tyre over the blend line. That's you know, definitely frowned upon in the esports series and the community series as well. But maybe Stewart's not watching so closely tonight, but never say never, as the eagle eye of the stewards is always watching there as Kevin Boss back underway down in P20 after his earlier on excursion into the wall. Mike Redford onto the back of Amo Plata, just behind Steve Hughes and Andreas Carlson, but Hughes still yet to make his pit stop, so he'll come down the lane this lap or next in theory. That should release Carlson towards the back of Mike Redford, and of course Amo Plata just ahead. Sebastien Brunier 6 seconds or so clear of Amo Plata, but again a pit stop to be served by the Frenchman and a 5-second time penalty as well. So that will shuffle Sebastien down the order. 2 race leaders, though, still out front. Miguel Martins, next car to blink, coming down the lane. Leffe and Lawrence still yet to come down the lane. Philip Rieher, another driver. Brunier and Hughes as well yet to pit. But it is the top two that I've got my eye on currently, Matt. Of course, Johan Leffe in first. Martin Lawrence, 20 seconds nearly off the back of Leffe. And we saw in the opening round of Paul Ricard, Leffe and Lawrence going toe-to-toe. And it was the fact that Leffe had used the best of his Pirelli early on. Lawrence was a bit more conservative in the way he managed the tyre across the hour and managed to get the kind of extra grip towards the end. And looking towards their lap times, their last laps are in fact their best laps, both going through. So it does suggest the track is drying out somewhat. Johan Leffe a 152.4 and Martin Lawrence a 152.5. So, you know, very similar pace, Matt. It's going to be a big ask, I think, from the Czech driver to make it a hat-trick. But Johan Leffe now blinks down the lane. I think Lawrence may have one more in him, providing he's not delayed at all. But I think even Lawrence won't risk it this late in the stint. He'll come down the lane, very calculated, indeed much more aggressive for Lawrence towards the pit speed board. And the 404 Czech driver for Connection Loss Racing will also come down the lane. Going to be very similar stops, we anticipate, Matt. Probably a litre of fuel in, off the jacks and away Johan Leffe goes. And Martin Lawrence in response should do similar. But 21 minutes on the clock, about a 20-second time gap to make up for Martin Lawrence. The question is, can he do it to secure 6 wins in a 6-round season? Time will tell as Lawrence is released. 18 seconds at the last timing gate. We'll get a more accurate representation when they come through sector 1. But Raphael Huell there to the right of the shot. He is about to get involved with Martin Lawrence. Bear in mind, Lawrence's tyres are a little bit cold from being on pit lane. And of course, Raphael Huell's are that little bit hotter from circulating around behind Nito, Daly and Lindgren as well. So it's going to be very interesting to watch, as it looks like Martin Lawrence quicker down the pit lane, Matt.
Yeah, about nearly a second difference as for the pit lanes there. Just to give a context, Leffe did a 32.4 while Martin Lawrence did a 31.8. The only driver on the grid to have done a 31. So it seems very, very quick as Sebastian Brunier is just finishing up on his pit stop there, making him the last of the pit stoppers that need to complete their mandatory pit stop times. So it's great to see how everybody is kept within the time limits. I know there was a couple of people through the season that have slightly missed out on their pit stop times as well. So with 20 seconds left, still plenty of time for the pit window if you were still out on track. But with 20 minutes to go, it seems to be somewhat relatively clean as I tap my wooden desk here, just making sure that I am not trying to jinx anything here today.
Curse to the commentator may be about to happen, as I did earlier on in the race, but thankfully my curse in the mid-stint didn't happen. Sebastian Brunier, last car to blink, pit window closes, and all drivers, as you say, Matt, have completed their mandatory stop. And we have seen it from time to time, some drivers racing in multiple championships, different rule sets, of course, across different kind of communities, different races, different events. And that can really confuse drivers when they're racing in multiple ones across the week. And some drivers falling foul of the mandatory pit requirements we have seen at RCI. Now, the battle on track beginning to heat up. Martin Lawrence at the head of the queue. Last time by, Lawrence quicker than Leffe, but not by a lot. It's about 0.3. 157.7 for Leffe, 157.4 for Lawrence. Raphael Huell, though, lighting up the timing board. 153.9 last time by. Miguel Nito, 153.4. So everybody in that kind of top pack looking very quick. Jordan Daly, 53.6. And Christian Lindgren, a 53.4 as well. So everybody on relatively similar terms as Riha and Tedders begin to trade paint once again. Coming through, that was through the Crocodiles towards Cheetah. And Tedders just about prevailing with the better exit, but a big slide. And Riha with a small twitch in the background as well. Both drivers holding on to their 992 Cup cars. And in the back, Kevin Boss, front row seats to this spectacle unfolding in front of him. Let's catch a race replay of what happened here from Riha's point of view through Cheetah. Bit blindsided by the spray, couldn't quite see the anti-cut curb on the inside. Takes a big chunk coming through the final turn of Ingwe there. Tedder jumping on the loud pedal. Riha equally with a smaller twitch, but Tedder certainly going for style points today, Matt, over maybe race pace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's nice to have a bit of style, but you don't want to just take out anybody else, especially along the track. You can see the train starting to form in at the final corner towards the back of Cheetah. But when you're in a train like this, you just can't see anything, regardless of where you are, unless you're at the very front, unless you're the conductor of the train at the very front of it. But again, with these drivers here, they know what to do. They've raced in Imola. They know what the story is when it comes to that point there. But goes drag onto Raphael Heel, a little bit of a slide there as Neto is trying to gain a little bit more time off him. But with that, Daly is also getting a bit of time off the likes of Neto as well. So there's a little bit of side-by-side action there with Ria and the likes of Ted Ayres. It's just on the way down towards the mine shaft. Just have to make sure he's backed off a little bit there, going towards the end of it. But I want to say though, Jean, there's a few cars going off track here, especially with that 79 here. We're just gonna jinx it every single time we talk about how clean this race, how clean everybody else is being.
Yeah, clean in a sense. I mean, lap one was relatively kind of I wouldn't say unclean, but we had a few door bangs, a few spins, a few incidents along the way. We had the bigger one at Barbecue, but relatively speaking, compared to what we normally see here at Kyalami, we typically see a big congestion in the sweep, where everybody kind of checks up, pinches together, and cars kind of go left, right, and center. Ted Edwards here with a race replay. Something's happened down in the sweep to Ted Edwards. Nobody around. Big slide out of turn 2. Went through the sweep and tried to continue the style points, and unfortunately the car hard into the Armco. That's going to be another front bumper from the Porsche factory that teams are ordering, and I'm sure that bumper is going to be on back order very soon, with a long wait time to prepare these cars for their next season.
I tell you what though, John, Porsche is going to have their pockets very full next week when the bill starts coming in for them.
Absolutely. Porsche parts line is going to be ringing off the hook very soon. Of course, Jesse alluding to doesn't include any shipping fees, tax or handling, so it's certainly going to be an expensive season.
As long as it's not handled by DHL, that I'm fine with whatever they come in with. Because anytime I seem to have ordered anything with DHL, it always turns up at least damaged.
Other couriers are, of course, available there, and it's very funny how everybody has different variations of different couriers. For me, it's always Every. I'll put that out there as well. And Jesse Lee alluding to UPS not being on the best of his books either, but certainly everybody with their gripes, different countries, different regions, and of course lots of different staff involved. But yeah, definitely lots of Porsche parts being ordered at the end of this one, and I think they've made a pretty penny off of RCI running these Porsches for this season, as Jordan Daly still trying to latch on to the back of Miguel Nito ahead. Nito still sniffing at the back of Huel, and meanwhile Lawrence and Leffe still trying to go toe-to-toe. There's another yellow flag out, I think, for Ted Edwards. That's down at turn 3 of the sweep, and Riha very sideways out of turn 1. Round he goes, sticks it on the loud pedal, and tries to loop it back around once again. Does get back underway just behind Hubert Hauser. In that one, let's have a look at Riha. It's just going to be too early on the gas, and certainly so over the inside curve in front of Kevin Boss, I believe, in the number 31. And a bit of a dodgy rejoin there. Hauser having to take avoiding action, but does so. And both drivers back underway. No harm, no foul, as a little bit of traffic gets involved in this fight. It's Ibiza Racer slowing up Jordan Daly, maybe allowing Christian Lindgren to latch back on to the number 197 Just Gamers entry. Miguel Nito, meanwhile, up the inside of Raphael Huel, but Huel says, thank you very much, we'll do the old up and under, the old switcheroo, side by side through the sweep. Can Huel make it stick to the inside of Barbecue? He can't. Nito pulls out the gap, and now Nito up into P3. Raphael Huel down into P4, and they've got to be careful now. Jordan Daly, Christian Lindgren lurking at the back with Badowski as well. So that could be 3 more cars entering into this 2-car fight. making it a five-way fight. And of course, Miguel Nito, as you said, Matt, being the conductor, the captain of the train.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to point attention over to Leffe, the 199 car. So what happened was Martin Lawrence did a track best at a 52.1 the previous lap, but Leffe responded to that with a 51.5, making it 6/10 better lap than everybody else. So currently Leffe is actually trying to push as much as he can out of those tires, but with the length of 12 minutes left, the 18-second gap they've put on, that's going to really impact the tires at the very end, but it might just be enough to give him that gap that he needs to win the race, I want to say, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So Johan Leffe last time by Martin Lawrence gap about 18 seconds. So since the pit stop's not really come down, Leffe keeping, of course, Lawrence honest in their crusade last time by. Johan Leffe a 151.3. Still waiting for Martin Lawrence to cross the timing gate to get his time. And he does. It's a 151.4. So top two going toe to toe with each other, essentially. Neither one really giving up the gap at the moment. So I think Lawrence's 6 of 6 will be beaten today by Johan Leffe. But never say never in these changing conditions. Andy Boardman and Les Stevenson now begin to fight again. Two drivers we don't tend to see an awful lot fighting with each other, but this time due to incidents for both drivers, they find themselves squabbling essentially over P23 down towards the back of the field. Les towards the outside of Sunset. Andy Boardman sticks his nose to the inside. We know Boardman is a very aggressive driver on his attacks and his crusades back through the field. I've raced against Boardman over a season, and very, very fearsome to have him in your mirror. The aggression level in a fight, it's turned up to 11, as you can see there. Andy Boardman looking to the inside of the S's. It's a hip and shoulder there for Les Stevenson. Les goes offline, has a wiggle, loses a lot of momentum, and Andy Boardman will take P23. But exactly what I was saying, Matt, Andy Boardman very aggressive in his overtakes.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with being aggressive on your overtaking, but you can be also over aggressive, especially with like taking minor contacts like that. As a steward, will definitely want to keep a direct eye on incidents like those, whether or not you're taking advantage of through the minor contacts like that. So you can see a race replay between the likes of Les and the likes of Lawrence. It just looks like Lawrence had the corner there, just a little bit of a slide there from the likes of Les. So again, they're still both on track. They're still keeping it nice and straight going up there. It's like Christian Lindgren still at the back of Jordan Daly. He's trying to find a way to peek around his bumper there at that point there. So, but aside from myself, I've been in scenarios before. I'm trying to get to the, like when I'm chasing Daly or anything like that. You just can't do it with this guy. He just seems to know where to defend the car and know where to attack you, because he just seems to be a very analytical person when it comes to the way he races.
Yeah, very much so. Very kind of forward planning in the mythology, and some drivers are like that. They kind of foresee things happening. Yeah, that's Martin Lawrence. That's Martin Lawrence off. The 404 is off at the sweep into the wall, and it looks like the car has been retired. Headlight there gives us a wink as I say that, and avoiding action into the back of Varga into turn 2. That's a heavy impact. That's going to be bent steering for sure in the 992. You see there Miguel Nito, Raphael Huell going through. Lawrence gets it back underway in front of Daly and Lindgren, but then I think he just pulls off, Matt, and he just calls it there. He knows the car's damaged. It's too late in the race. It's under 10 minutes to go with a pit stop. That's going to shuffle him down the order, and Martin Lawrence has vacated the server, I believe. I can't see him on the timing board. 28 cars become 25, and that promotes Raphael Huell up into second. Of course, Miguel Nito will follow suit, as well as drivers begin to gain a few positions there. But Lindgren still can't find a way past or towards the back, should we say, of Jordan Daly. And of course, he is the car with the highest score of the party so far, 218 points coming into this round. Miguel Nito, of course, 197, and Badowski just behind on 196. So in this current stage, I think Badowski's out of it. Daly all over the inside curb at Cheetah. That's closed the gap up now. That's exactly what Lindgren needed. Around the outside into Ingwe he will go. There's no grip on the outside. Be careful of the painted surface as the 992 lights up the rear tyres, and Christian Lindgren now sees a chance with Daly. Daly's made the mistake once in this race. Focus, of course, driver's been under 52 minutes of racing in wet conditions. Focus levels are dwindling as Lindgren tries to fire one up the inside, but Daly sees it coming. Badowski now latching on to the back of this fight, and this just got very interesting with one small mistake from Daly.
Yeah, definitely. It's all to play for here for the next say less than 10 minutes now, as we're heading up to the 7:45 mark. I just had a wee look at the incident with Martin Lawrence as he got into the wall. He just braked completely far too late. So normally when you're braking on this part here, especially the wet track, you're trying to aim for the 120, 130 meters point here. But he went up to about nearly 50 meters as we get to see a replay with Les Stephenson here. Going on side-by-side action here, and it looks like a little bit door bang of Racer, but he just seems to have gone off and hit the curb there, causing him to get overtaken by the car number 30 there, John.
Yeah, that was actually for position for Les. Les all the way down in P24. I beat the Racer at P23, so maybe a little bit unsighted, a little bit unaware that there's another car kind of behind him coming up very soon. Ted Edwards on to the back of Nicholas Nordquist, the number 137 just ahead there. Front end damage. I'm not sure if that's a bug within ACC. Sometimes the damage model can be bugged, but again, some drivers maybe just don't want to fix damage tonight in this race. Of course, lots of mistakes happening. Maybe they can save some time in the pit lane, but make up on other people's kind of demise as they get towards the end of the hour mark. 54 minutes on the race clock we have done there so far, and a big slide indeed from Ted at the moment. Two more stewards reports have come through. Nothing really major. Incident on lap 21, turn 16, involving the 77 and the 84. Big slide for Ted through the S's, and that's put him through the gravel. Kevin Boss says thank you very much. He'll take another position up into P16. Number 77 and the 84 racing incident, minor contact, and lap 25, turn 10, involving the 46 and the 69. That was the Andy Boardman, Les Stevenson we saw through the S's. That was deemed racing incident, just hard racing between the two, and that is the nature of the racing we do get here. Unfortunately, with the single make series, Matt, it gets very elbows out, very kind of touring car-esque, as every driver seeks to make up the smallest of margins, which normally is done by the famous word of BOP, where some cars are, of course, better in corners, some cars better on straights. But in these one-make series, everything's on an equal playing field, so you've got to take your advantages where you can.
Yeah, definitely. And to some people's opinion, when it's a wet race, it brings down to everybody on the exact same level, because when there's no grip, only the better driver can be able to power through it and get the traction that they needed for it. And you can see it with some way or another. There's some drivers here who have made better positions, or some drivers who have made slightly worse onto there. As we can see the likes of Neto trying to get through and try and hold off the likes of Daly and the likes of Huel and trying to overtake it at the right place. But he's finding a little bit of place for it. He's finding the gaps that he's needing to go through, but he's just not got the speed to try and go around it. But he's staying on the outside there, trying to gain the maximum visibility he can get, because when you're directly behind these cars, you just cannot see anything there. As the likes of Andy Boardman here trying to go around and keep it clean, but he's just slamming the doors shut on the likes of Neto, with a bit of slide from Huel. There's a little bit of engagement here going towards the likes of Barbecue, but they've both kept it clean and kept themselves on the track so far. But that's going to give Neto the better chance to try and gain that P2 position there, John.
Yeah, big mistake from Huel out of turn 2, maybe put off by Andy Boardman, not making it as easy as he could have done to let the race leaders through. Of course, blue flags in GT racing, very different to open wheel Formula 1 stuff. Most drivers, of course, in Formula 1, dive off the racing line, yield the position instantly, whereas GT racing, we're kind of taught to hold your line, stay safe, stay predictable, and the faster car will find their way around. But Huel, of course, taking a different line through turn 2 than what he's used to, probably caught him off on the acceleration point, thus lighting up the rear tyres of the suspicious Cats, number 21. And that, of course, pulled Nito back into the phase of it in the number 43, as he managed to sneak up the inside of Andy Boardman as they began their fight through turn 1. But no harm, no foul. Johan Leffe, though, 30 seconds nearly out in front of Raphael Huel. So the real fight here is between Huel and Nito. A brief yellow flag shown for someone. I didn't quite catch.
It's a 95 Redford there.
Mike Redford. That's a barbecue, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked actually like it was. I never remember these. It looks like, let's say, Clubhouse. I want to say that he went off that. If there was a. No, unfortunately, we don't have a replay of that. So I just saw. Yeah, he went off for the likes of the Clubhouse point there. So again, it's just so easy to lose it in these cars, John. I've tried it myself. I mean, when I tried to practice on this track for round 1. It just feel like it was about 4 or 5 seconds on the pace. So well done to the guys who are doing it so far.
Yeah, of course, it's very, very good driving from all involved today. It's been super tricky out there for everyone. Martin Lawrence, official word, kind of missed my braking point. Was too busy watching the car ahead, and when he looked up, realised he was about 200 meters too late to stand on the anchors. That was it. Of course, last steward's report we've got briefly coming in from McKenna McConnell and her team. Fantastic job done by all of those guys next door to us. Lap 26, turn 5, involving the 46 and the 43. Racing incident, in brackets, engine failure. So that's between Les Stevenson and Miguel Nito. Not sure what's happened here, but Nito certainly still circulating around in P3. I wonder if Les has done the old Kevin Boss, slapped the ignition and turned the car off, and then let's have a look. I think Jesse has an onboard queued up with Les Stevenson. Let's have a listen as he comes through barbecue. The car just shuts off, gets bumped from the back, has to stand on the brake. There we go, the middle pedal going. Car goes down a gear and gets fired again. So I think we've seen a few drivers tonight knock their ignition. So stewards being very attentive to what is going on tonight through there. And if you have been attentive at home, you'd have noticed down in the bottom left-hand side, all of our partners revolving around on a very nice graphic for everybody at home. You can find, of course, all of their links down below in the description. But of course, AK Esports, one of our main partners here at RCI, a top provider of premium esports services and equipment. AK Esports offering everything you need to elevate your competitive gaming experience, from high-end hardware to expert coaching and event management. And they also provide our service solutions here at RCI. So if you think they can help you at all, be sure to check them out down below. Go Setups, you need, again, no introduction. I keep saying this every time. I think everybody knows who they are by now, but providing, of course, expertly crafted car setups tailored to help you get the most out of your racing experience in titles such as AC and ACC, and also very recently dipping their toe into Le Mans Ultimate as well. So if you are struggling over on that platform, be sure to check them out. New packs releasing by the day. Moser Racing, a new partner for us here in 2024, who we're thrilled to partner with, a leader in high quality sim racing gear. From precision engineered steering wheels to durable pedals and advanced wheelbases, Moser Racing has everything you need to boast your racing experience, and Johan Leffe comes across the line to take the last round win here in the Porsche Cup Season 5. And a fantastic display of talent. Raphael Huel clawing on to the suspicious Cats entry, the number 21. It's been a good race from the number 21 here at Kyalami, pressured by Nito, swapping positions with him, and a final slide out of the final corner. Raphael Huel comes through to take your second step of the podium, followed by Miguel Nito in P3. Jordan Daly will take P4. Christian Lindgren not able to do anything, P5. Badowski P6 on the Team Monkey Racing entry, and plenty more cars also finishing. Reha, Brunier, Hughes, Boardman and Varga down the bottom end of the field. Carlos Calatayud comes through in P7, and Theobald Roskam, his teammate, it's a rebound 7 and 8 here tonight, the number 30 and the number 96. again, well rehearsed in the realm of RCI. Rebound Racing, a formidable name that we do see in multiple championships. Miguel Martins turned it around just inside the top 10. And then the livery thief himself comes through in P10. Peter Dominicus for the last time, the number 32. It says Kevin Boss. It's got Dutch end plates on the wing, but it is Peter Dominicus inside that car for the Wheelie Slow Racing team. A few more drivers, of course, finishing down the bottom of the timing tower that we can't quite see. Emo Plata coming through in P11 after a late join in qualifying. More Sim Brothers entries coming through. Carlson and Urs, Redford and Nordquist, another 2 entries in the back of the field coming through next as well. And as I was saying about motor racing before Johan Leffe rudely interrupted me with his race win, you can find our affiliate link down below. So if you are looking to pick up any new hardware this holiday season, be sure to do so with our link. It will sprinkle a few pennies into the RCI pot for us. And of course, that does help with some of the running costs we do occur. But official results on your screen at the moment, pending, of course, any further post-race stewards inquiries. And I can't imagine there's going to be all too many from the final round as the championship has wound down. A quick scroll there from Jesse Lee. It was Johan Leffe at the top, a high rate of attrition towards the bottom. Martin Lawrence, Peter Lundqvist and Olivier Curtin did not take the checkered flag, but still 25 cars got through. We had 53 sign-ups across the season, Matt, and I know you've only been here for a few rounds, but this has been a fantastic championship and one I've very much loved. Every time we pull these 992s out, or even the earlier kind of cup cars in the earlier days of ACC, it always provides fantastic racing.
Oh, I've actually been following this series the whole way, John. I was actually dipping my toes in the side of the other booth in the Stewarts and get to see what they've been up to. But no, from my experience of watching this has been an absolute fantastic season. It's just with not only just the amount of cars, but the amount of great racing we've seen for everybody that's come by here for this evening.
And I've just had a look over into the Ready for Interview channel.
There's a lot in the green
and we've
room.
got quite a lot waiting in the green room. So we're going to bring the first one in. We're going to bring in Martin Lawrence, of course, the championship winner. Wrapped it up last round at Mount Panorama. Came into this round with a bit of a last to first challenge where it all unfolded quite quickly, Martin, towards the end.
Hello. Yeah, quite quickly. I must blame my friends, obviously. I can't, like, it's never my fault. Because I was on a Discord now. I mean, I was watching over the Slovakia, over the back marker. Because I think he house spun, I don't know. But I caught him up quickly on the straight and I was watching, wondering what is happening. Yeah, I think I missed that breaking point by like 100 meters maybe. I just,
I think
I didn't done it like in a while, like missed it that bad.
I think Matthew went back on your race replay, and I think you punched the brake somewhere around the 50-meter board. It was very late from what he found.
I guess as I was doing a few weeks ago, I was doing the real racing with the how is it? Nice term for it. Cheap cars. Endurance. The Ford was able to like brake on like 60 meters into the very tight corner. So yeah, might be because we were driving on the bed. But yeah, well, fun. Until that point, it was fun to drive. It was really good. Except Mr. Magic Sepp provided me a setup, which was a bit understeery, and I really didn't hit the pressures right. And I think it was a common thing in the field because everyone was struggling extremely much, except Johan. And I think Johan nailed the pressures because when the later stage of the race was raining way less, I started to catch up quite nicely. So I think everyone underestimated and under pressure the tires because the comparison from the qualification to the race in terms of the wetness, it was like 20% up. My tires were like, I don't know, 1.5 psi off. and I was even clicking them before the race from the quali. So might be that. But it was fun. It was fun. Whole this championship was fun. Thank you, boys and girls, everyone, for providing it to me. I had great fun.
Yeah, so Tim Ireland really cooking up a good kind of championship on that one for sure. Martin, of course, Porsche Cup Season 5 champion, wrapped it up around early. Anyone you want to say thanks to before we let you get off tonight?
Thanks to the whole RCI community as a bunch for doing a tremendous job. All the sponsorships and all my teams I'm driving for, because without them can't be that good. So Connectionless Racing, nearly on pace, RCI Sports obviously, and everyone else who I forgot. So Slow and Curious, I believe there is a team. If I'm not mistaken, but that's a long history ago. So yeah, basically everyone who supports me.
Yeah, absolutely so, Martin. Thank you very much for joining us for a quick word. We're going to try and get the next interviewer in for the broadcast. We've got quite a few going on tonight at the moment, and I believe Ted Edwards is next up for his interview as the Discord soundboard doing us dirty as always. Ted, welcome to the box. Thank you very much for joining us towards the end of the race. It looked very tough out there for you, let's just say.
Yes, it was a little bit tough. I was running on very low pressures, but it is what it is.
So a lot of drivers, I think, underestimating the how wet the race was actually going to get compared to the qualifying. Ted, it was very tricky out there. That's all I can really say. We saw numerous excursions from you along the way. We saw some impressive slides as well, so that's pretty good for us. Race replay here, of course, Porsche Cup Season 5, the 992. How have you found the car across the season?
Horrible. I've never drove one of these cars before. I never drove the old Porsche. I never drove this Porsche until this time, and I don't think I'll be doing it again. It was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's tricky. But I don't know what it is. I was doing fine for the whole race on low pressures, and then it just started snapping for some weird reason.
Yeah, so I think a lot of drivers struggling towards the end of the race as the tyres began to drop off. Mike Redford there with a fantastic display of car control. Ted, anyone you want to say thank you to before we let you get off and pull the next person in?
I just want to say thank you to my girlfriend, Katrina, and you guys and the stewards for putting this together.
So very good indeed. Lots of people behind the scenes that we don't always hear about, especially wives, partners, girlfriends, and all of that jazz that do help us along the way. Of course, Ted, we'll let you get on and we'll pull in the next interviewer as I scroll up the list to try and work out who that is. I believe it's Miguel Martins. Miguel Martins, welcome in to the box. Thank you very much for joining us for a quick word. Same question as I'm asking all the drivers. It looked very tough out there.
Oh yeah, it was definitely very tough, but it was also very, very fun at the same time. It always is with these cars.
So it looked quite tricky. I think he got caught up possibly in the bigger accident, should we say, at barbecue. A bit unsighted, I'm guessing, coming into the corner.
Oh, I was the one that caused it. Well, sort of. In front of me, two people went side by side and they kind of tangled. And yeah, in front of me, I think it was Kurt, and he braked, but with the spray you just can't see anything. It just rammed into the back of him. But yeah, it was a messy start, dropped back quite a bit, and then just kept on it. I was doing very, very good lap times at the end. I was very proud of that. So yeah.
So you almost think what could have been, had the accident maybe not happened, we could have had Battle of the Miguels maybe with Nito and of course yourself in that one. I think Nito prevails in this championship over yourself. Anybody you'd like to say thank you to before we let you get on tonight?
Just thank you to you guys, the stewards, the event manager as well, Tim. Like, this has been a brilliant championship, and I hope we do it again next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can get these 992s repaired and back out for another season. Miguel, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your commitment to the championship as well.
Yep, thank you. Have a good one.
Miguel Nito. It's Miguel Martins on that one. Next up, I think Raphael Huell. Raphael Huell, welcome to the box. What could have been, of course, losing the championship in the dying stages, but Martin Lawrence with a dominating performance, but second nonetheless, still very admirable. Suspicious Cats looked very soggy cats out there today.
They were not happy. I believe they influenced my car. That's my excuse for not being faster today.
Suspicious Cats may be tampering with the setup in the pit lane at some point for you. It looked very tricky. Of course, great battle between yourself and Miguel Nito towards the end. We saw a few places changed hands. Johan Leffe, do you think you could have caught him? Had you maybe caught up a bit in the early stage?
Absolutely not. He was flying today. Every time he did a PB, I was like, how does he do it? Because I was generally like half a second, maybe second off. I just did not find the pace.
So you struggled in the wet slightly at Imola as well. Maybe the 992 and the wet not a combination for yourself?
I think it is fun to drive, definitely. At Imola, it was more of a problem of just not getting a valid lap, like not getting a banker. This one was more like not having practiced.
So certainly a better result this time out than, of course, we saw at Imola. P4 and P20 in qualifying was very tricky indeed.
Yeah, that was, to be fair, probably my most fun race I've had this season. Obviously, fighting with Lawrence at the top all the time. It's a bit lonely, but just fighting through the field in the wet is super fun. Especially today as well with Nito. We had great battles. I didn't expect to stay in front of him because he was definitely at least more consistent than me.
Yeah, Nito certainly with some good speed under his belt, and we're catching a few highlights here as we go through the highlights reel of the race, and of course you did finish ahead of Miguel Nito in the end. Raphael, anybody you'd like to say thank you to before we let you go?
Especially thank you to Tim for organizing another banger of a Monday champ. And the Monday chat as well, the Monday gang. A lot of fun again.
Of course, Monday gang, a term coined by Tim Ireland, I would say, for the voice chat that goes on during all these races. And it's probably, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, I think, for one evening in there, just listening to everything going on between you guys. But Raphael, thank you very much. Congratulations, of course, on P2. 286 points to Christian England's 262. So a good gap there, and well done.
Thank you.
As we go from Raphael Huell, I think it's time to bring in Tim Ireland, I believe. Tim, welcome to the box, of course, the brains behind, should we say, the Monday champ and everything that's gone on so far during Mondays. Lots of drivers we've had in here have been very praiseworthy, should we say, of yourself. The championship you cooked up this time, and of course being a Monday regular commentator, I think all the championships you've cooked up have been absolutely wonderful as well.
Well, thank you very much, John. That's very kind of you to say. I mean, Porsche Cup's a bit of a no-brainer. Everyone loves Porsche Cup. It's probably one of the easiest championships to run. Everyone just loves driving Porsche Cups. It's not that tricky.
bit of a looser GT3 car on steroids, I would say. Of course, we haven't seen you on the grid for a few Mondays, and I believe you do have an announcement to make tonight on the broadcast.
Yeah, I've been running Monday nights for about 3 years now, and when I started, I had 3 young kids and an awful lot of free time, and now I've got 3 teenage kids and 2 jobs. So this is going to be my last Monday championship, I'm afraid, as event manager.
So Tim Ireland stepping down from event management role, and I'm not crying, you are, to you guys at home. Tim, who's somebody's got to fill your shoes, obviously. Very big shoes to fill. Who's going to get the honour?
I believe the extraordinarily large feat of Mr. Kevin Boss is going to be taking over as event manager now.
Kevin Boss potentially with very large feet to fill your very large shoes. Tim, of course, it will be a sad time for us here. Kevin will, I'm sure, cook up some equally great championships, but it's been fantastic to have you along with us during the RCI ride, and of course where we began and where we kind of came from and got to and where we are now. Of course, you have been a part of that, as you said, for a good 3 to 4, maybe pushing years. I think you said to me in a message earlier on, but it's great to have you, and I think we're going to be sad to see you go.
I'm sad to go, to be honest. I wouldn't be going if I'd had the time to do it, but I've just had less and less time, and I'm not able to put the effort in that I think you guys as drivers deserve to have, and nobody has complained about it from you guys particularly, but I feel it's best to go out before things get too bad.
Yeah,
So
I kind of Sorry, I just want to get a few words into this as well. Like, obviously, I've been with RCI for 2 years, and I've only known you to be the event manager for Mondays. But while I've not been to every Monday championship, I will say that every Monday championship that I've been a part of, regardless, has always been a blast. It's always probably been. I mean, there's a lot of event managers that make some great championships, and you certainly do it as well, especially with how random and how sort of fun, quirky types of the different championships that some are offering as well. And I just want to personally thank you, for not just myself, but probably to everybody that's been racing in these Monday championships and everyone else. And while it's sad to see you go, I hope the future remains bright for you.
I'm sure it will. Kevin's a good guy. He races Mondays. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he'll have a lot of work to do, but I'm sure he'll bring as much effort and as much love as you put into the Monday championships.
Well, thank you. But
Ted,
if I can deal it for a minute, I'd like to thank some people, because of course Monday Championship isn't just me. I just come up with the stupid ideas. So to all of the guys in stewarding who've head stewarded for me over the years, Connor, Tom, Brian, Phil Roberts, Tom Watts is currently head steward, but many people who've stewarded for me over the long time. You guys in the broadcast team, John Dalton, the voice of Monday Championship, Matt, Jesse, who used to commentate and is now doing the cameras. Thank you to you as well. You've always brought amazing amounts of enthusiasm to what I do. Stewie sometimes has done the cameras. Of course, Stewie made the website, which makes my job so much easier. And most of all, to all you guys who've driven. It wouldn't be a championship without drivers turning up. So thank you, from the front of the field to the back of the field.
So, and everybody in between. Thank you very much, Tim, indeed. Ted, you've joined us back as Tim's joined as well. I believe you wanted to say a few bits as well.
Yeah, no. It is sad to see that you are going to depart from being a event manager, but you've done such an amazing job. Never once had to intervene with anything you have done. You know, you've done perfect weather, showing from today. You've done just amazing champs, and I just don't know how you did it, honestly. You know, here at RCI, we've struggled keeping people on other days, but Monday has just prevailed as the top of the racing scene here at RCI. But you've done such an amazing job. Yeah, you just done an amazing. That's all I can say. Amazing job, Tim. But no, it's gonna be sad to see you not here. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, and there will always be a spot here. If you ever want to join back, if you ever get some free time again, even if you just want to do a one-off, there'll always be a spot open for you to do that. But thank you very much.
Jesse, I believe you wanted to add something to the Tim Ireland farewell.
Yeah, hey guys. Tim, I just got to tell you, I've worked with you for the past 3 or so years. I don't know how long it's been. It feels like a few days rather than a few years. But as the broadcast director here, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to help the process and plan and coordinate things. And oftentimes you've come to me and said, hey, this is what I'm doing on Monday. And we've worked together to not necessarily put events together because you're so good at doing that yourself, but to keep me clued in. And it's just, you've been an excellent partner and an asset to have around here. And it will not be anywhere near the same with you not here. Mondays will always be a Tim Ireland original. And I just want to say congratulations on all the success Mondays have had. By far and away the most popular championship we do. You've got your own logos, and you've got a dedicated team I talk to every Monday. I come in and ask them. Such a great job of putting this together and making it not only just another day that RCI races on, but an event in and of itself. It's brilliant. You're brilliant, and good luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you, Jesse. I don't know what else to say now.
Tim Ireland left him maybe a bit speechless then.
A little bit.
So it's been brilliant, of course, as you say, being the voice of Monday, should we say. And hopefully that can continue with Kevin Boss as well. And like everybody said, Mondays have always been that one kind of place in RCI that have always held really high numbers, of course, at the beginning of the season. 53 potential drivers in the 992 Cup car. 46 remained on the scoring sheet towards the end as well. So still a very good high number of drivers have kind of seen it through until the end. And as we cut away from the highlight reel, we're of course going to bring you the final championship standings. Of course, these are provisional. These are subject to any further stewards' inquiries or reports that may happen after the race. And of course, Martin Lawrence wrapping up the title early, as we heard on earlier on, 347 points. Raphael Huell, what could have been 286 points, could have been a hat trick this year for Raphael Huell in RCI titles, but alas, wasn't to be. Second best nonetheless. Christian Lindgren in third, prevailed over the fight between Nito and Badowski. 262 points to 250 of Nito. 236 was Badowski. Johan Leffe, fantastic pace with the races he did show up for, 198 points, and of course tonight's winner. Jordan Daly, a regular with us here at RCI, even in the RCI esports team, on 179. The second of the Miguel Martins on 175. Emo Plata on 162. And Andy Boardman finishes out your top 10 on 149. Lots of drivers to get through tonight. So Ted Ayers on 146. Theobald Roskam prevails in the rebound camp over Carlos Calate-Yud. Sebastian Brunier pips Gregor Force to P14 by a singular point. Mike Redford on 96, a point ahead of Yao Manzo. Tom Shipston just behind his teammate. Les Stevenson and Svenchek with a tie for P19 and 20, both with 80 points apiece on that one. And we're just about halfway through the field, as I alluded to earlier. 53 drivers did sign up for this championship, with 46 remaining on the scoring sheet towards the end. Ted Edwards joined us earlier for a few words, 72 points. And of course, the new Monday event manager, Kevin Boss, on 68 points. Duel of the Swedes, Carlson prevails over Nordqvist in this one, 62 points to 56. Peter Varga, 2 points behind on 54. Olivier Curtin, DNF tonight for him, 46 points, 2 points behind, tied with Reese Wilkinson, Peter Dominicus, the livery thief in the wheelie slow racing team. Matthias Byron on 41 points, Hubert Hauser on 30 points. We saw him in the wars earlier on tonight, but still prevailing with 30 points. Rounds out your top 30. And of course, Tim lumping everybody into the same category for this one. Everybody thrown into pro, no silver, no AMs in this one. So everybody duking it out amongst each other. Of course, as we roll down the scoreboard, Grim Lilith showed up for a few rounds, managed to get 28 points to their name. Steve Hughes with 23. Peter Lundqvist, the winner of the Lundqvist battle, should we say, on Pete with 20 points in P33. Ollie Mulder and Ross Kusick, of course, not showing up tonight, so they will remain tied on 18 points apiece. Ibiza Racer on 17, 1 point ahead of Philip Reha. And then the second of the Lundqvist, Alphonse Lundqvist, prevailing over Victor Nordqvist, 14 points to 10. And James Purchase rounds out your top 40 with 9 points. And I think another driver showing up for only a few rounds, but showing up nonetheless as we head towards the final page of scorers. Thomas Novak on 2, Callum Kerrigan on 1, Martin Foster and Nicole Fox on 0 points. And everybody else, unfortunately, signed out and didn't make it to the end of the Porsche Cup Season 5. But it's been a fantastic season along the way. We've had many different faces joining us on the broadcast. We began with Stewie. We handed over to Jesse Lee. Of course, I was absent from Barcelona. Matthew Malcolm joined us. And, of course, Dan Van Zoofen along the way too. And what a final season for Tim Ireland to round out on. I think it's been a splendid season nonetheless. We've seen battles aplenty. We've seen dominance from Martin Lawrence, and still Raphael Huell saw it out towards the end. Partners, of course, were revolving round in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, AK Esports, Go Setups, and Moser Racing. Over on the website, racerci.com. Of course, Wednesday, we're heading iRacing this week with the Charlotte 150 in the NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen. Still plenty of space for that one, so get your name down there. And Saturday this week, of course, a double header with the IMB 6-hour Community Series. They're heading to round 4 at Monza. And of course, in the evening, Saturday night out, Winter Break 3 finishes at Indianapolis. So still plenty of space in both of those championships. Of course, the website, racerci.com, is where you'll find all of our events anytime, day or night, and get on over to the Discord to become a part of the community. And who knows, maybe we'll be seeing you on Monday Gang very, very soon. But from myself, John Dalton, from, of course, Matthew Malcolm alongside me, Jesse Lee behind the cameras, and all of our live stewards, we thank you very much for joining us. And of course, farewell from Tim Ireland. Thank you for joining us here on RCI TV. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and take care of yourselves.